Hello, I'm Rosalind Esche of dearreader.blog. Welcome to our Crime Scene podcast, which focuses on crime fiction writers. Today I'm in conversation with Graham Bartlett, retired police officer turned author and advisor to crime writers, about his police career and his second calling as a writer. I met up with Graham in Goldsborough Books in Brighton and started this final part of our four-part conversation by asking him if it was a culture shock moving from the police world to the literary world.
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, obviously, in the police, you're surrounded by people all the time, and you kind of bouncing off people, and you're getting feedback, even if it's kind of subtle feedback from people about your own performance. So if you're in the middle of doing something like if you're running a big, policing a big protest or something like that, and you said something, you want to do something, and you voiced that, and you've got someone next to you trust, and they're going, oh. Like that, immediately you think, oh, maybe that's wrong.
Yeah.
You're writing a book, you don't get any feedback until you send it to your agent, if you're lucky enough to have an agent, and I need to be careful how I say this, but basically in the police, people are very, very responsive. So if I sent, whatever rank I was, if I sent an email to you and said, are you able to do this for me? You reply back and go, yeah or no. You tell me straight away. If you were, if you were my boss and said, oh Graham, we need you to come in at 6 tomorrow morning. Really sorry, that's awkward, but I need you in. I'll be in at 6 tomorrow morning. In the publishing world, the urgency to respond to needy authors like me is not quite as great as I'd expect. It's not bad. I mean, I've got great publishers. They are very good, but it is a culture shock where it's and at the end of the day, it's not life and death. What I'm doing is not life and death, and sometimes in the police it can be.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that. It's a bit of the kind of getting used to the lone working, and a little bit about the kind of just the
having to be patient and wait a long time for an answer that matters to you.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm, I do kind of, I say to David Headley, my agent, I go, should we chase this up, shoot? And it's like, no, it's fine, just don't worry about it, don't worry about it. This is quite normal, this is don't worry about it. And then you speak to other authors and they go, yeah, no, it's fine, don't worry. Or that's just how it all works. So. Yeah. What
a different world you're in.
It is. It's really different, and I did feel that the police was a calling, and it was a calling. As I said, there was no plan B, and I feel like I've had a second calling now. And if anything, my only frustration at the moment is that I don't have enough time to write. I'd love to write more.
Are you writing the next Joe?
I'm writing the next but one. So the next one, the second one, is already written. I mean, it's just waiting for copy edits to come back from the publishers.
Okay.
Comes out next year, and then hopefully, if this one sells well, and the next one, they like the next one. I know they like the next one, and this one's getting good reviews. So hopefully they'll offer me another contract, and I'll be able to write some more. I mean, I've started writing the third one, so I'm getting ahead of the game. But
so you knew it was going to be a series when you started.
Yeah. I don't know how long. It's interesting because this event I was at last night. There was two authors that have got very long series going, Mark Billingham and Tim Weaver, and both of them were saying we thought 3 or 4 books, that'd be it, and they're both on about, I think Tim's on about 12 or 13, Mark's on about 21 in the series, and.
If they're still enjoying it, that's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, and they still, they still go through the kind of I'm going to get found out. I haven't got another story in me, but they just recognise that as part of the process. But and they write afresh and often a better book every time, and they do still enjoy it. And they do write the odd standalone in between just to keep themselves fresh.
That's what amazes me about Peter's books. And I was talking to him about this. He explained how he keeps it fresh for himself, which is learning new things. He loves to learn about something and do a lot of research and then write a book, like Art Forgery or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that keeps him going. But his books never dip in quality. Never.
No.
And he said in the interview I had with him that when he was young, he was sort of disappointed when someone he liked reading, like Alistair MacLean, just the quality dipped. And it was as if they were just churning them out.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do that.
No, I think he's. He's obviously got a great set of characters there, and people people invest in characters. You can have the best story in the world, but if they don't care about your characters, they're not going to read it.
Absolutely right.
So Peter's got fabulous characters that he keeps deep and nuanced, and you can have empathy with all of them. And he does. He just Art Forger. I mean, I don't know if you've read it, but I've read the one that's coming out, and it's just inspired. And he's about 3 or 4 books ahead, I think, in terms of what's in his head. He's not writing to it, but he's kind of thought, we could do that one and that one. But
when you retired, why did you retire when you did? 'Cause did you have to at that stage, or was it 30 years and then you stopped?
So it was 30 years. It was I'd done 30 years. So did I have to go? So about a year before I was due to leave, Sussex Police brought in this kind of enforced retirement, because it was the only way they could get officer numbers down, because it was at the beginning of the cuts. So they were requiring people to retire when they reached pensionable age.
Yeah.
And it was, it was a bit of a side sort of story here, but it was my job as a divisional commander to basically serve the notices on the people who were having to retire, and most of them didn't want to go.
No.
And I had tears in the office and and everything. And one of the people that I had to serve a notice to was that officer that I was talking about earlier that got the Queen's Police Medal. So she got the Queen's Police Medal one week, went to the palace one week, and then the next week she was in my office getting served her papers that she had to leave. So that was awful.
That's dreadful.
So I didn't want to go at that point. I thought, no, I want to stay on. I'm still quite young. I've got lots to give still. But as the months went on, I thought, okay, I've got my head around it now, and I'll find something. About 3 months before, it's about 6 months before I was due to retire, they announced that in 2 months' time they were going to stop this thing, so people didn't now have to retire. So, so everyone was saying to me, "Oh, that's great." It was called A19. It was the regulation A19.
What year was this?
This was in 2012.
Right.
So it's called A19. So they said, "Oh, we don't need they've ditched A19 in Sussex. You don't have to go." And I said, "Do you know what? My head's gone now. My head is out the door. I'm left. I've made that decision, and I can't rethink it that I'm going to stay for another 4 or 5 years, whatever." So I didn't have to go, but the circumstances kind of pushed me in that direction. And then I took my own decision to leave,
and you were happy with that.
Yeah.
And you already had this other career in mind at that stage, perhaps, or not at all?
No, not really.
Not at all.
No. This was. I don't think I've ever thought this has been a career until about sort of 3 years ago. I was doing a lot of safeguarding work when I left. I was chairing safeguarding boards. I was undertaking safeguarding reviews. I still do some of that. So still very much in the kind of in the criminal justice world.
Right.
But then the writing and the advising started to take over, and now it's almost full time now. So it's mainly advising, but a lot of writing as well. I want to try to bring it to 50-50.
Okay.
That's my aim, with a bit of time for myself in there too.
Yeah, in your family and all of that.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and you've had a really good, strong family life, haven't you? You talk about that in one of your books, and that was such a help, because there's this feeling that a lot of police marriages suffer from the stress and strain of the work.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. No, I've been very lucky. We've been married 30 years this month, actually. Next month. We're not in July yet. Oh, no, we're not. So 30 years is our wedding anniversary next month. And yeah, we've got 25-year-old triplets. So they're an absolute blessing. And they've grown into such wonderful young men and young women. It's just so proud of them. But yeah, we just kind of I as far as possible I've tried to put my family first, and and I think the more senior you are, although I was a sergeant when we had the children, so I wasn't very senior then, but the more senior you are, the more you can be a little bit, you can engineer your diary a little bit better. So I don't think I ever missed a birthday. I always made sure I took leave on a birthday. You only have one birthday to worry about in a year, but took leave on that.
True.
Yeah. I went to as many sort of school things as I possibly could. Sometimes I couldn't, but sometimes
if you're on call or whatever, the duty person,
absolutely.
you couldn't, could you?
No. But I think by trying to work it out that you can, it's surprising how much time you can give to your family, and I don't know how to sort of balance this right. I did, I was able to come home and talk about things, things that happened, but I also didn't allow it to kind of consume family life.
Yeah.
So and sometimes sometimes things completely completely overcome you, and you'll have read Death Comes Knocking about the cot death.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
that was an
Of course,
example of
something
completely,
like that.
completely devastating me. But I tried to have this view that my family was my family, and they were a good release for me if I needed them. But at the end of the day, they needed me as a dad and as a husband.
Yeah.
More than they needed me as somebody to counsel.
Yes. Okay.
And one of my sons is in the police now, so.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. Anyway.
Yeah. So he's the police officer
Carrying on the
mid Sussex.
tradition.
Yeah. So he's loving it.
Is he?
He's loving it. Yeah, he's been in just over 2 years, but he moans like a veteran. He's fabulous. He's just like.
Is that part of the deal?
Oh god, yeah.
Constant moaning.
I hear myself through him so much. You just I used to sound like that.
Thank you for listening to the final part of this interview with Graham Bartlett. Look out for other interviews with